how to allow yourself to change. So what would it take for you to allow yourself to become out of form, out of structure, out of definition, out of familiarity, and out of linearity in all aspects of your life, especially those which you most seek to change? Allow yourselves to become out of familiarity, out of control, out of form, out of definition, out of structure in all areas of your life, especially those areas of your life here in this program that you are consciously wanting to change. So if you hear some familiar guidance, just keep listening, because this is an essential shift that gets embodied at different levels depending on where you are in your own experience and opening and awakening. So the mind freaks out when it comes to change. So some of you have been reporting anxiousness, some of you have been reporting self-doubt and worry as you've stepped out further, whether it's signing up for this program or it's going for a new job and holding the space for you to get that new job. So why I ask you to allow yourself to become out of definition and out of form and out of control. And I was just realizing this within my own life today. Things aren't going to look familiar if you're changing. This is beyond the point of me talking to you about, in order to have something different result in your life, different choices have to be made. And in order to get to those different choices, energy blocks have to be cleared that allow you to make choices that you heretofore until now have not been able to make. So that means we're clearing out blocks that don't allow you to see the possibility of other choices. We're clearing out blocks that keep you thinking you're not worthy of having that thing which you really want to choose. And I could go on, I won't, I'll just clear. But where I want to move to now is after you've gone through that, there's an element of being out of control that the mind freaks out at when you start to listen to your soul and have the courage to choose change and to choose something different for yourself. And that feeling of being out of control, the mind doesn't like. So anxiousness results, nervousness results, self-doubt results, self-questioning results. I want you to please understand that that is a natural part of what you're doing. And if you did not have self-doubt, and if you did not have anxiety, and if you did not have worry and fear and doubt about what you're doing, then you wouldn't be challenging yourself to grow. The mind isn't going to get you to where you want to be for something new. The mind only goes based on the known. When I taught AP Psych in the classroom, there's 2 different chapters in the Psych textbook. One's for perception, one's for sensory data. So the 5 physical senses pick up a stimuli in the environment, and so let's say I'm seeing a new flower because I'm in a foreign country. My mind goes, so that's the sensory. Now to come up with the perception or to come up with the label of what the senses are picking up, my mind goes through its files or databases based on what it knows. So it can't say orchid if it's never seen an orchid. What it would say instead was, oh, that's a pretty flower. That looks like, and then it'll go based on a flower you've already seen. So the mind is given to us as a tool to navigate the physical plane. There is all this multidimensional data. I don't know how many of you are at the point of recognizing that it's not like a hierarchy as much as it's like to the side, the different dimensions. So the different dimensions are like right to your left there and over there to your right. And so all of this metaphysical, multidimensional data is actually happening at all times. And some of you are so open and so sensitive enough that you're sensing it a lot, and that makes you a little more uncomfortable in your body until you're with somebody like me who can teach and train and shape it and contain it in a way that you can deal with your skills. So the mind is given thresholds on each of the senses so that we don't perceive beyond a certain level. Otherwise, we go crazy trying to keep up with all the sensations. When you start to raise your vibration, you do get those thresholds increased so you can deal with more data. But the point right now for our purposes is that the mind does that in order to keep us safe and comfortable enough to navigate in a body on Earth. So when we're going for something, it's propelled by the soul. And you'll probably notice that some of that increased energy when you've aligned with a new choice for going beyond where you've been before, like entering this program, you've had an increase in energy. You could end up having your mind, based on its storylines and current foundational energy patterns you're in this program, to clear as anxiety or as nervousness or anxiousness or worry or doubt or fear. But in fact, your soul has released, this has been studied by one of the first Western MDs, Christian Northrup. I quoted her in my first book, What If There's Nothing Wrong? She was one of the first ones to apply Western medicine to the mind, body, spirit, holistic system. And she talks about what depression is. Depression comes from any time our soul is ready to expand to a new level, which has its own timing, we get an extra flush of energy to have the energy to come out of the status quo and take extra steps and have the courage and have the energy to carve out something new. If we, out of fear or listening to the mind's reactive, reflexive doubt, fear, worry, pullback, if we listen to it and we don't actually take the urging from the soul, unlike all of you who are in this program, then, but at other times in your lives, which is why some of you are in this program, so that you move beyond it, you end up depressed because you're pressing down that release of energy and not using it for the growth. So please understand that we're not in this program to rely on our minds. This is a process. I mean, it took me decades to be who I am and where I am today. Decades of meditation, decades of daily observation of my mind, and pulling myself out of this country and culture that is so entrained and entrenched to worshiping the intellect as the primary tool. And I moved over to another culture, as you all know, for a decade, to be amongst a culture that rules itself from placing the heart and energy as more important than the mind. But by being entrained to this system where we think that the mind is our, the ability to analyze, the ability to sort through information, the dissection, the reductionism, the breaking apart, the labeling, the judgment, the evaluation, all of that doesn't help you with energy. The only way you're going to understand energy when it comes into your life is by your intuition, and it's a great part of what we're opening. Everybody's having it opened planet-wide. It's part of the awakening times to help us shift into living from the heart and not the head. But it's also for opening the left side of the body. The left side of the body is receiving. It's the feminine. And it's also causing the mind to flip out a little bit more, because the basic overall backdrop of living on planet Earth right now is change and our higher vibrations. So it can force you, if you're in a paradigm where the mind is overly relied upon, and then you're wanting to take new steps, but you don't know how, and you stay stuck in fear, or you take new steps and then your mind goes off. And then if you add in final part, and this is huge, and this is the primary work that we're doing alongside what I just said, shifting out of the mind as a dominant use and tool we rely on, and into allowing for our alignment, our spirit, and our heart to take over, because we're a mind, body, heart/spirit system. It's not just a body. There's a consciousness that runs throughout the body. If you visualize above your head a waterfall, and the waterfall it's not a trickle. It's kind of like a shower. That's the nature of the golden frequencies and vibrations that are showering down upon us. A lot of solar flares are happening. A lot of astrological alignments. We are getting golden frequencies showered down upon us, and they're coming in at the crown chakra. Now, it's meant to happen. The crown chakra is meant to be open. There's chakras 8 through 12 above the head. It's too advanced for our purposes here, but all of those connect you to your higher self and to source. And so there's this shower happening above your head that if you open your crown chakra, that's the top of the head. And then you have the 6th chakra open in between the eyebrows. And then you have the 5th chakra open at the throat and neck. And then you have the 4th chakra open. Now we've gone down to the more spiritual chakras. And then you have the third chakra. Now, this is the beginning of the more earthly chakras, the upper belly. And the second chakra, the lower belly, in the root, at the tailbone. Then you have this vital life force energy, this waterfall flowing throughout your system, all the way out to your fingertips. The arms are governed by the heart chakra, for example. There's meridians or nadis. Just think of them as highways at the energy centers, the city centers, the chakras. Those are the urban centers. And then there's highways and side routes and interstates and roads that lead out to the fingertips, the toes, that take the energy out of the city centers, the chakras, and distribute it, the life force, this golden energy, all throughout your system. So if you're at the fifth chakra, have been feeling really limited, and you don't feel like you have the ability to choose, you feel obligated, burdened, and you can't really open up, or you don't have the money to do that thing, or you don't have the time to do that thing, or you can't go for that thing because you never have before, and why would now be any different, and you limit your ability to choose what you really want, that locks down the neck chakra. If you've had difficulty with communication, where you either tell little white lies, or you have a hard time speaking up for yourself, or you have a hard time perceiving that you're heard, you've never felt really heard, that also blocks up the fifth chakra. But I find that the more important aspects of the fifth chakra are about choosing. That's the co-creator's chakra. Many of you have heard this on the free call, but I'm taking it way further now, because if that blocks up, then the waterfall doesn't get down past the throat. So it stays blocked up in the head. So that is a triple whammy on how much more we're in the heads. If the energy is allowed to distribute all the way down throughout the entire system with all the chakras opened, then it's all good. Then you're in alignment because you're open. You're in alignment with the center of that waterfall. Your creativity is flowing. Your guidance is flowing, so you can receive your guidance. So you don't have to spend 4 days trying to figure something out, or 4 years trying to figure something out. You can step away from trying to figure it out with processing and therapy and deep conversations with those people you go to for the deep conversations. You could just free write, or you meditate, or you go out in nature, and all of a sudden, having that space, that openness of your spirit, that room for the spirit to speak, that room for the heart to speak, beyond the mind, you hear one phrase, and you don't have to figure anything out. You just know that's the truth. That's what you're moving into, that alignment. You're open in the central column, and that waterfall pours through your life, and on that is all love, all money, all abundance, all success, all ease. The mind is what stops it up and starts to chew stuff apart and figure it out and chew it into little bits and pieces and not see the connections and not allow for the flow that wants to make it easy.